broadcasting live 4 days a week worldwide
from the sunny beaches of Southern California.
This is ExtremeHealthRadio.com.
Hi, this is the Health Ranger Mike Adams from naturalnews.com, and I'm listening to Justin and Kate on Extreme Health Radio. Tune in every day for awesome shows that will empower you to change your life.
Wake up your immune system to attack harmful invaders that don't belong in your body. Visit carnivora.com or call 1-866-VENUS-FLY today.
Increase brain health and improve focus, memory, clarity, and mood with BioAge Superfood. Get 10% off your order using coupon code JUSTIN at extremehealthradio.com/BioAge.
What is it, as the Dixie Chick song says? Some days you gotta dance.
Some days, I was going to say, sweet sassy molasses.
That's your new thing.
What is that? Sometimes you just got to dance?
Some days you gotta dance.
I like it.
I know.
What's that mean?
It's a song.
Oh.
You don't have their first album?
I like them, though, the Dixie Chicks.
You don't have the Fly album?
Whatever happened to Natalie Maine? She needs to start...
Maines?
Maines?
Yeah. You always say Maine.
Do I always say Maine?
Yeah.
Natalie Maine.
She's still the same person. Natalie Maines.
Maines, I'm sorry. See, I did it again.
She's great.
Is she still pumping out music? Pumping out the good
on her
tunes?
own. I think so.
All right.
I think she branched off.
I liked I can't believe that she really got in a lot of heat there, didn't she?
Didn't she?
Some of those words she said.
Well.
About President Bush.
Yeah.
Didn't go over too well.
Didn't go over too well.
White House just didn't like it.
Country music fans didn't like it.
That's true. That's true. All right, this is going to be a great show. I'm really excited to talk with Ron Becker from NewportFloat.com.
Yay.
It's going to be awesome. He is here in the studio, and we're just going to have a great time with him.
Yeah.
Talking about flotation, sensory deprivation.
Ooh, that sounds so intriguing.
And you and I have both experienced it, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool stuff. All right, this is episode 301, and for reference, today is Monday, August 18th, 2014. God, I just cannot believe how quickly time is flying. I know we say that all the time, but...
No, it's getting weirder.
Is it because we love what we do, or is it because we're busy, or what's the deal?
I don't know.
I don't know what happens here.
A little bit of each, probably?
Got to go in the float tank a little more often, I think.
Yeah, seriously.
If you guys would like to support our show, you could go through our link on Amazon, extremehealthradio.com/Amazon. That is always a great way to support our show, as well as checking out our sponsors, BioAge and Carnivora, really amazing companies. And we just love their products. We're on both of those, and just big fans of them.
Yeah.
Just really big fans of them. This is episode 301, and we broadcast live 4 days a week on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. So if you guys would like to join the live show, we do that at extremehealthradio.com/live, and you can just have a little party in the chat room.
It's always a party in the chat room.
It's always a party in the chat room.
Love it.
I don't know, though. It's kind of a nerdy thing, right?
Party in the chat room?
Party in the chat room.
Meh. We're nerds. Who cares?
We're nerds. Who cares? So we got Ron Becker here today. It's just going to be a lot of fun, and we're excited to have him on because we've been a big fan of this sensory deprivation, these float tanks, which are...
the idea of it, we've been a fan forever because you've been wanting to try it out for, at least a year prior to your experience, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I've just been doing all kinds of research and watching videos on YouTube, and they're just incredible things or tools, I should say, where you actually lay in about 12 inches of water and float with about 800 pounds of magnesium salt that is dissolved in the water, which is about 10 times the buoyancy of the Dead Sea. And they make the water the same temperature as your
body
temperature.
Mm-hmm.
And then the air is the same temperature too, and it's completely pitch black. Which is just awesome because all 5 of your senses are gone.
Yeah.
And
it's quite an experience.
It's an amazing experience, and we're just big fans of it. And and you can use it in a multitude of different ways for a multitude of different things. So, all right, thanks so much, Ron, for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's just recap a little bit here. A while back, you reached out to me because I think that we had done a show, didn't we, Kate, on the...
We got really excited about flotation.
That's
tanks.
right. That's right.
And I think it happened where Ron, you actually reached out to us, didn't you, and said, "Hey guys, I'm working on something."
Yes, I actually have you guys to thank because when I was listening to your podcast, I was out doing yard work. Barefoot, of course, and grounding myself. And I decided at that point I was going to open up a isolation tank business, but I'd kind of been thinking about it for a couple months, but that kind of, at that moment, I just switched and decided to do it. You know.
Really? Had you ever had an experience at this point? Had you been in one before?
Yeah, I had. And it was incredible because I never I never take naps. I never slow down. I'm always running all day long. I'm a tiny little guy that's got a lot of energy. And I found that when I went in, it took me about 15 minutes or so to get used to it, but I nodded off 3 times, and this was like in the middle of a day on a Monday. So
really?
For me to go to sleep, and you kind of jerk awake, like 3 times in an hour and a half in the middle of a regular day, I knew something kind of profound was going on.
Something was different.
Yeah.
Wow.
So where was this place? Was it local that you went to?
No, it was in Venice. It was
okay.
It was Crash's place.
Okay.
The Float Lab.
And that was the first time. So you had heard it just online or something? You heard about it?
I'd been hearing about it for years.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably through Rogan mainly, and he's a lot of people that come in our place now they heard about it because of Joe Rogan. So a lot, some people don't like him, a lot of people do like him, but he's inspired a lot of people to try it.
So for those that don't know, we should probably explain what floating is and then some of the benefits. And then we'll get back into, how we all started getting together. And we've had one experience at your place, which I was hoping to have another one before this show. But floating for people, let's explain it a little bit for people that don't know what it is.
Well, there's a chamber that's got, it's about 12 inches of water, and there's about 800 to 1,000 pounds of dissolved magnesium salt.
Okay.
It's like Epsom salt. And so it's really buoyant. A lot of people think you can't. They're going to sink, and so there's so little knowledge about this. But you're like a rubber duck. I mean, you just sit right on top of the water, and your ears are underneath the water. So you don't have any visual inputs because it's pitch black, and you don't have any auditory. We block out the sound, and you're underwater. So I've got a couple of walls, between noisy skateboarders and stuff. And then your mind has no inputs. So, and the other thing is you can't feel the water because it's about 94-95 degrees, which is your skin temperature. So,
and same with the air too, right?
Yeah, the air is the same. It's kind of humid in there. The nicest thing that I found was you don't know where the water is, and the only movement you feel is your heartbeat, which is really cool.
Yeah, that was an experience. That was a wild experience. You could hear and feel your heartbeat, and that's it.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
It is crazy. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing, and you can tell by the faces of people that come out. They come in, they're stressed.
Yeah.
Like everybody these days, and when they come out, they're just. About 80% of them are just like, they're so relaxed.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, that is great. So that's why it's growing so much because I'd say I've had 200 plus clients, and probably 80% of them love it. 10% say it's not for them, and another 10 are like, 5 or 10 will get kind of scared, or they're just not comfortable yet, and they may come back and try it. But
it's amazing because when I had my experience, I cannot imagine. I mean, I hurt my neck a little bit when we're in, when I was in there, I was kind of
tensed up, maybe.
Yeah, I was kind of tensing up a little bit,
right?
And I'm a really bad person to float because I'm really light and I have a lot of fat, so I don't float. Yeah. But it's interesting because when I got out of that tank, it was like someone handed me a carrot apple juice, and for me to say, "Oh no, it didn't taste good." Like I could not imagine how people could not have a good experience. Like you said, 10%. Some people say that they don't like it.
Yeah, I've had the biggest problem with people who are really overweight. A lot of times their backs don't feel good, or one guy who was pretty big said the tank's too small, but it's 4 feet wide. So it's pretty good size, but maybe he wanted to just stretch his arms out straight or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, it's good that it's a small minority. That are like that, so.
I can't believe there would be one person who wouldn't think that it's just amazing.
It seems like that would be the most like actually relaxing for any weight, you know, especially if you're bigger, you'd think that would actually be the best feeling in the world because you are weightless, and so to speak, but who knows?
Yeah. I found that putting, what I tell everybody before they go in is to try to put your arms above your head, because that helped me because I sleep that way, and so you can move around in there until you get comfortable, you know.
Okay.
But my sister, I forgot to tell her to put her arms, and she's going to come back. She's like, my husband loved it. And he usually scoffs at everything. So amazingly, he liked it more than her because she wasn't comfortable. But next time she's coming in a week or so, and she's going to put her hands above her head and see if that works.
Yeah,
I figured that out pretty early on. I don't know if you did, but I thought, there's something so awesome about
and I like to have my arms down.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, but it's cool to have the option, you know.
Yeah.
But what's cool about the float tank is it's essentially creating a situation, an environment on Earth that doesn't exist on Earth.
Right. Especially these days because, I probably back in the 70s when I was a kid, you could zone out very easily, and now you can't. I mean, I've got 2 cell phones. I know you've gotten rid of yours, which is great, but I've got a personal phone and a business phone, and especially with starting a business,
you have to have it.
And then I'm on the computer, and you're just nonstop. And there is a way to force people to set their phones down and just zone out for an hour and a half, you know?
Yeah, it's incredible because when you're in there, you don't feel, at least I didn't, you don't feel the water, you don't feel the air, you're completely naked.
Yeah.
And
you don't feel a sense of time. It's
you
weird.
don't feel a sense of time. It's weird too because when you're lying there, most of the time, even when you go to bed, you open up your eyes and you can see, even if it's dark, you can still see things.
Right.
But there's no difference between your eyes open or closed, which is the strangest thing to me.
Yeah, and I've had 2 people tell me that they floated and they had their eyes open the whole time, and I never thought about that. I thought, well, I obviously just go and I close my eyes, but they said they had great experiences, and they said their eyes were open. I was like, wow,
that's odd. Huh?
Yeah, it's very odd, but it's interesting what you hear from people. And now that I've had a few hundred people or a couple hundred people through, because we just opened, but it's interesting to hear. I'm getting a lot of feedback, and I'm learning how, what to talk to people about and the benefits. And
what are some of what's the oldest and youngest people that you've had in there?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. My mom is turning 90. She has not been in it, but she's turning 90 in December.
Really?
I had a guy that was born 3 months before her. He's 89. In September.
Wow.
In September, he turns 90 in September. He's a World War II veteran. He came in a week and a half ago. I thought he was like 73, 74. He had a cane, but he's really bright. And I was a little worried because, you got to step up of 2 feet to get into that chamber.
Yeah.
And he had a great time, and then he's talked to me for like 25 minutes after. I didn't have any appointments after that, and he told me a lot of things. I'm gonna, before he comes in next time, I've got to get a thing that holds in that holds the door open, because the door is on a hinge that shuts. And I've also got to get possibly a shower mat for him because it's a little slippery, and I'm gonna have to probably stick that to the bottom so it's because I do not want him to fall.
Yeah,
I do not want anything to happen to him. I was praying he'd be okay. So he's supposed to come back with his niece. I think he's got great grandkid. I mean, it's just great. I forgot to take a picture with him, which would have been fantastic. I always forget to do that.
Did he have any PTSD from?
No, he was fine. He was fine, and he had floated a few times. So to a 90-year-old, because I have trouble getting people over 50 in there. And
really?
Because my demographic is a 27-year-old MMA type, or a yoga instructor, that type of people. And the older people, I've had more kind of anxiety, like they're afraid, they're in their 15 minutes and they're just afraid. And I've had 2 people, which is interesting, out of the couple hundred, that they said they kept feeling almost spinning.
Really?
And I'm like, really? I've never, I can't imagine, because I've had vertigo in the past.
Yeah.
Man, if I felt like I was spinning in there, I would get out so fast, because vertigo is the scariest thing you'd ever come across.
It's funny because when we'll jump in the ocean, I'm not sure if you've ever had this, where you jump in the water, and because there's so much movement going on in the waves and the shore and stuff, and then when I'll lay down on the beach, it's my favorite time. I'll lay down.
You love it.
And I feel like my head's spinning. I'm spinning out in space kind of a thing.
Right. And I hate that feeling.
And I had a little bit of that in the float tank too. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it was, this weird. It was just a experience unlike anything I've ever had.
It might be like if you go on a boat and you're up and down on the waves for 2 hours and you stand on land. You know how you feel like everything keeps moving. It's probably that. It's probably so still in there that the regular constant movement of the workday. Now your body. Maybe it's the same thing as the sea legs type of thing. I don't know.
It's weird because it's because it removes every sense from your body. It makes you feel like the first 15 minutes for me, it was just getting comfortable with it.
That's what it was for me. And that's what most people are. And what you hear is the second time people go in, they go, oh, that was much better because they've already been in that environment. It's such an alien environment. And a lot of people come in and if they've never heard of it, they're like shocked, Like I had a lady bring her husband in yesterday and it was a surprise. And I kind of don't like that because they're surprised and you're kind of the butt of the joke. Like, oh, look what I'm throwing you into. And then people don't know what it is and they just see this big chamber, that...
there's got to be some education.
That's and so I kind of don't like when people do that, but people do it as a joke to their, and then they end up liking it, so
wow.
that's kind of nice.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. It's such a foreign experience. Wasn't it John Lilly that created was it like in the 50s that he did this?
I think it was about 60 years ago. I think the 50s. And I heard some weird things like he used to go in with scuba tank and he was in regular water and he'd like literally go to the bathroom in there. I mean, he'd try to go in there for
8 hours or something.
Oh, yeah. And I have a floater that goes in for 4 hours now. And
do you really?
Yeah, she'll get up and go to the bathroom sometimes and jump back in. And it's incredible. And she said she wants to try 6 next time. And she's really super, she's like a yoga, not a yoga, a meditation master.
Really?
Yeah. So she, and
so she's really good at this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like she was telling me how you need to, you center the heavens down to your belly and you bring up the earth and you center it all in your, and I'm just like, it's all Greek to me. I don't know anything about that stuff,
Yeah. It's interesting because you could really take it as far as you want to take it with stuff. Cause I know people will, they'll sort of go over stuff in their day or they'll look at their life in a new way or they'll focus on things or sometimes maybe someone like her does like a meditation or something where you don't focus on anything and you're kind of just out.
Right. And that's what's funny. The 90-year-old guy, he brought up a good point after. I mean, this guy was sharp. He said, you need to explain what people do in the chambers. And I said, what, that's really smart. So I'm putting together an information packet now. But what I realized is there's kind of 3 things people do. They meditate, they ruminate, about problems, which is what I heard like Joe Rogan talk about all the time. He goes over, like, he thinks deeply about things where you can't do that. Or they sleep. And I've had about probably 8 to 10 people fall asleep. But one guy, he'd never floated before. Within 15 minutes, I heard him snoring. I mean, he's a master because to get that comfortable and to sleep, it was just
Was this
incredible.
His first time?
His first time. He'd never been in an isolation chamber and he was snoring like the whole time. He came out looking just fabulous. He was so relaxed. And he had moved the day before, so he was like, moving boxes all day. So
he was sore muscles and stuff.
And his girlfriend brought him in there as a treat, and man, it was fantastic for him, But,
wow.
And let me tell you, it is hard to wake them up. I've had to bang on the chambers before. And this is what Crash kind of warned me about, because I'm setting up music to turn on, because people have complained that it's kind of jarring, even though I knock very lightly.
Oh, yeah.
But people say they want to do the music thing, but the problem is if somebody's deep, in fact, one guy, he wasn't asleep, but he said he heard the knocking, but he was so relaxed he didn't want to respond to it. Like, he's just like, I just want this to continue. So, wow. So I'm just learning stuff again. I've been open, 5 weeks, I think. So it's all new. Hope 6 months from now, I'll know a heck of a lot more about how to run this thing.
And how, sort of to cater it for different people, like the guy with the mat, the older guy with the mat and stuff.
Yeah.
So Kate, what was your experience? Because you were in the same time I was.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's, I think the thing that we've talked about on the show right after, I think a free-for-all after we had done it, I was surprised that I had bought into the lie of thinking I was claustrophobic all these years.
That's a big issue.
It is a big issue, and I don't know why I actually thought that, because I've never really had a situation, but I always just, assumed that if I was in a dark place with all my sensories deprived, I would be claustrophobic.
I think it's because, maybe your family or friends say, oh, I'm claustrophobic, so you just sort of take that on.
Everybody
so.
says that. I hear that from so many people.
But I don't know if it's true.
I know.
I was lying to myself all these years, and I thought, I'm in the space now, which is really cool in my life, where I'm like, I'll try anything once, I'll charge it, and I want to try it much more than once because I actually loved it.
For those that have been following your journey, it's
huge for me.
It's amazingly just awesome to watch, because you're someone who used to be so closed off to things.
Oh yeah.
You used to be just shut down. Anything new, any new food, anything, you would be afraid of it.
Well, I was just riddled by anxiety and stress. So I mean, I'm a different person. So the fact that I was looking forward to going in that chamber says a lot. But
something like this is so, people
profound.
think, oh, it's like going into a coffin, especially with the samadhi tanks, which is different.
Yeah.
But this, for you had
I have to say I was very relieved, Ron. I mean, I don't know why I would think that there'd be a lock on these doors, but to know that there's not a lock when you step over into the tank and go down.
A lot of people worry about that.
I can see that. I mean, it's just a very uncomfortable thing when you don't know what to expect.
It would be weird to lock people in there,
wouldn't it? Oh my gosh,
nobody can hear you.
That would be like a nightmare.
So the way it works, I'll just explain. At least, probably in most float centers, I know in yours, you have like a room that you go into that locks, and then inside that room the actual tank is in there, and the tank does not lock at all, so you can get out, so no one could come, so no one really has access to the tank door.
You got you got a private shower room, right?
Yeah,
and
that was my concern,
right?
Because it was like, oh, if I'm in there, what if someone locks the tank when I'm in there? But they can't even get to it, because
exactly, yeah, it's a nice private room. It's real safe.
When I did jump in though, and first it was bizarre, because when you start to try to sit down, whoop, you're right, you like float right up, and it's the strangest, weirdest.
You pop up like a duck, like
you do.
You expect to actually sit down and be able to touch the bottom, and you can't.
You can't.
I would love to swim in something 10 feet deep with this and see if you could actually get underwater. I don't think you can. Oh, I don't think you could even go underwater.
It'd be like you just be striving.
What would that look like? That'd be weird.
Oh, that'd be weird.
It'd be almost like the Dead Sea, maybe. But I think I've heard rumors that this is 10 times the density of the Dead Sea, and I would assume it is. I mean, I can't imagine anything this salty. I mean, 800 pounds. That's 16 of these 15-pound bags in 12 inches of water. That's 4 by 8.
So the thing that really was confusing to me was I had heard that, and some people even put 1,200 pounds. I don't know sure what that's.
Those
about.
Are bigger chambers, probably. They do make that are like 6 feet wide for people that really want to stretch out. So there are bigger chambers. They're like commercial type chambers.
Is the 800? Is that like a fixed science, or are people still experimenting with how much salt to put in there?
Well, it's based on the it's a hydrometer, I think it's called, where you float it in there, and it should be like 1.2 whatever on the density of the salt. So you want to get that density right. So you float that thing in there to make sure, and it tells you whether to add water, to add salt.
Oh, so it's the weirdest thing is I thought I was going to go in there, because I had done all this research, and I was just watching YouTube videos and all this stuff. And when I first went in, I thought that there's no way that 800 pounds of magnesium salts are going to be in liquid form.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd be crystal clear.
I agree. That was bizarre.
And it was about shin deep or something, 12 inches.
Yeah, it's shallow.
And I thought that I'd be stepping on like sand, like at the ocean, like
grainy.
All grainy, but it's just incredible clear liquid that
it feels like velvet. It felt like it was kissing your skin. I mean, it was like it was almost not a water. It was really, like out of this world.
It's really smooth, and I think you don't get pruny in there. I've heard that with that kind of a salt, like in fresh water you get pruned fingers.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I guess the salt it doesn't allow that.
Did the girl who was in there for 4 hours, did she get?
No, I didn't notice. I didn't inspect her hands too closely, but. No, I don't. I didn't notice any difference. So I think you don't prune up for some reason. I have to see what the reason for that is.
So some of the main reasons that people would consider doing this, like we talked about a little bit at the benefits. Mm-hmm. For one, there's so many benefits, especially for people that are interested in deeper things and deeper topics, whether they want to go in there and pray or meditate, like you said, or ruminate. But there's just 1,000 benefits on top of all the benefits of the magnesium.
Yeah.
Right?
The magnesium is what actually drew me to it because I had the worst diet of probably anybody you know.
Really?
10 years ago, in the morning, I would go to Carl's Jr., which it's Hardee's on the East Coast. It's Carl's Jr. out here.
Yeah.
I would read my paper. I've been reading paper since I was like 7. You know, I mean, I was one of those nerdy kids. And I would go to Carl's Jr., get a Diet Coke and a chocolate chip cookie. And that would basically be my breakfast. I mean, it's disgusting to how, you know, like Kate, how you were so closed off to things. I mean, you could be that closed off with your diet. So
totally.
I started, then I got vertigo about, 12 years ago, and that is scary. I mean, you're standing, like you'll wake up and you'll turn, and it's like you're drunk, the worst drunk you've ever been.
So you feel like you're going to fall over?
You have to hold on to things, and like went to the shower, and I'm trying to, you're just staring at the wall, trying to not to move your head, and you start throwing up. And it's like, oh my God, it's
like a plane sickness or a car sickness.
It's the worst thing you can imagine. And so I had that.
Like how because? Or
I don't know. I'm assuming something was wrong with, I now that I look back then, I just thought, well, I just have this. Maybe it's an inner ear virus. Well, it lasted about a month, but it was bizarre. It was only when I'd look up. And I could fall down. Well, I was on a windsurfing trip at the time. And I could windsurf while I had this vertigo, but if I looked up at my sail, I would get massively dizzy. I mean, luckily I was holding onto the sail and I was sailing so I wouldn't fall over because I had something to hold on to. So that's the beginning that something's going on. And then
that's crazy.
And then about 7 years ago, panic attacks. And I'm like, this is I mean, I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking like a car was going to crash through the house. And I'm like, okay, this isn't normal.
Yeah.
And then I started listening to some health stuff on the radios. It was before podcast. And a guy mentioned magnesium. He said, oh, any kind of panic, magnesium. I was like, okay. And then, about 5 years ago, I got kidney stones. So, and then I looked up and I'm like, I'm 48 now. I'm it's like I'm falling apart, And so, the kidney stones thing was, it's a calcium magnesium balance issue where, the food, even if you eat healthy now, you don't get enough magnesium. And if you're eating cookies for breakfast and oatmeal and cereal and junk like I was eating, and pasta, your magnesium is so low and your body dumps magnesium, whereas it holds on to calcium. Like this is what calcifies your arteries and all that stuff. So you have to keep replenishing your magnesium. And so I went into these things going, I don't want to get kidney stones again. I went through the operation. It was horrific.
Oh, you
had it? Oh, you don't want to know. I almost passed out because after they break up the stones, they put you out. They break the stones up and then they put a tube between your kidney and your bladder because it has to widen out the tube there. I forgot, the ureter or whatever it's called. So the stones, the little rocks can come out and you pee into a little sieve to check, and it's like sand. It looks just like ocean sand coming out of it. It's calcium oxalate, calcium again, right?
Wow.
And then the problem...
Was this before the surgery?
This was after the surgery. So you're peeing out the little rocks that they broke up for about a week, right?
Oh my gosh.
Well then, and this is where it gets ugly, and I didn't read the fine print. So you go back in and they've got to get that little straw out that's in between your kidney and your bladder.
And is that
Well, there's only one tube if think about it, guys, there's only one way to get there. So he's got this little thing out of a movie that goes up a place you do not want anything going up, and he's got to pull it out, and he had a nurse holding me down. I swear I passed out at first from the pain. And I'm like, okay, this isn't going to happen again. And so I started looking into magnesium, and I literally drink magnesium with my water now. I get magnesium oil, and I spray about 5 pumps every drink of water I do now, just to constantly replenish.
What brand do you get?
It's Ancient Minerals. It's I read a book by Dr. Mark Serkis. Who have you interviewed him?
Yeah,
before?
We've had him on twice. He recommends that LL magnetic clay. Is that what that is?
No, this is it's like it comes from Europe, in the Netherlands, the Zeitschein Sea or something. It's an ancient magnesium deposit, and it's in oil form. And I've been known to spray it in water. I'll put a bunch of the oil in water and hot water and sit there and watch TV at like late at night, and just you can feel the tingling from it. Well, now these chambers, I mean, you can't get any more magnesium than that. The magnesium oil is different. This is magnesium chloride. It kind of burns, but the Epsom salt is a different form. It's hydrolyte or something like that, but it's still magnesium getting in your body.
And you're absorbing that through all your pores.
Oh, your skin is the best way. His book is called Transdermal Magnesium Therapy, and the best way to get magnesium is through your skin. And so I stopped taking the pills because I'm like, I'll drink the oil, but I'll go in these isolation chambers now. So the isolation chambers, this is why I think people are so calm after. It's that massive infusion of magnesium, and they think like 90% of Americans are deficient in magnesium. So I go in for that, but there's an added benefit, which is the other benefit is your brain goes into what's like normally you're in a beta state. There's like 5 or 6 different wavelengths your brain's at. A beta state is texting all day and trying to figure out problems. You're just in this constant, it's a faster wavelength.
Okay.
When you're in this chamber, your brain goes into more of a theta state, which is what like Zen meditation masters get to. Like this is why people meditate. Their brain is in a theta state. So this is a shortcut into that state.
Does it go from, what are the stages? Delta's above that, right? Is like delta when you first kind of wake up?
There's an alpha, and I'm not sure. Beta. There's a gamma, and there's a delta, and there's a theta, and there's a beta. But I'm not. There's like 5 or 6, I think. But it's I'm no scientist, but this is.
But this is where you want to get to. It takes you to the state that you want to be in,
which is why I think I fell asleep 3 times, without ever being able to take a nap. In 10 years I haven't taken a nap. Gosh. But I'd love to take a nap. I'm jealous of people that can take naps, but I can go in there and knock out, and it's probably the magnesium and the theta state. I mean, you're getting 2 awesome things there at once,
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's just it's wild, because for the first at least for me, for the first 15 minutes, like I said, it was just getting used to it and getting sort of comfortable. Did you have that same thing? It was like...
It took a while for me, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I had no concept of time, but I would say more like a half hour kind of thing. It took me a while, but it takes me a while to get to that place. So.
And they say for people that have a hard time meditating, that this is, a lot of people want to do that. It's, I think that in today's world, this kind of thing is not only going to be more necessary, but it's going to be something that people get drawn to more because, like you said, everybody's texting, everyone's looking at some blue screen.
There's no way to shut anything down anymore. You can't. I mean, you 20 years ago, you didn't have these distractions, and they drive you crazy. You know? So, I think this is why this industry will grow, and we're seeing a lot of growth right now, and I'm finding that, most people I talk to, at least probably 99%, do not know anything about this. So that shows me there's a lot of people that are going to be getting into this in the next 5 to 10 years, I hope.
Wow. We're going to take a little bit of a break right now, but I want to talk more about why people don't know so much. I mean, this is part of what this show is going to hopefully help. And I know you said Joe Rogan's been talking about it, and just incredible stuff. So this is episode 301, right?
Yep, you got it.
And we're going to be right back right after this break. If you're taking 1, 2, 5, or more nutritional supplements, please stop. Simplify your supplementation with Bio Superfood, the most advanced whole food supplement you can buy. Men, women, children, and even Olympic athletes the world over have discovered Bio Superfood from BioAge.com. And now just take 1 nutritional supplement instead of many. The Bio Superfood formulas are whole food products composed of 4 of the most nutrient-dense algae found on Earth. Bio Superfood for the brain helps with focus, memory, clarity, and mood. And if you can increase brain health, the rest of the body is a no-brainer. Bio Superfood has 0 toxicity, is safe for you and your family, and it helps protect against radiation exposure. Learn more and order your Bio Superfood formulas at extremehealthradio.com/bioage or call 877-288-9116. Get 10% off your order using coupon code JUSTIN at extremehealthradio.com/bioage. BioAge, the age of advanced organics. I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress, and stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself, so go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong.
Listener supported. Extreme Health Radio. Opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Don't forget to join our thriving community for health tips, inspiration, and show updates at extremehealthradio.com/Facebook.
Alrighty, we're having a good time here with Mr. Ron Becker from Newport Floats. Just interesting stuff, huh, Kate?
Oh, so very much. I'm so interested now, especially because I've done it once, and I just think it's such a fascinating thing and great conversation.
Next time, I think we need to get those little neck things, don't we, to support our little thin pencil necks.
We do have pencil necks, don't we?
We do.
We're like the 1% that has the neck problem. Of course
I know.
we would.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, you know what? I bet you though so many people carry so much stress in their neck.
Oh yeah.
And it might not bother them to go in a float tank, but you and I feel like we were extra tensed up when we went in those chambers, and
oh, I know, right?
Our little necks couldn't handle it very well.
I just could not handle it.
But we'll have our little pillows next time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I just had such a good time. I really am hooked. I want to start going.
You came out of there glowing. That was intense. That was insane. You were so stoked.
Yeah, it was.
I loved it, but you were beaming. It was so cool.
I think it was because I had heard so much about it, and there was so much going into it that I thought was, I was really looking forward to it, and it was everything I thought it was going to be. And I'm not really the type of person that, pumps things up, and then I don't know. I'm just not really a hype kind of guy.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, it just lived up to everything I thought about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really, really, really cool. I would highly recommend this to anybody, anywhere you can. If you could just give it one shot, I think you'll just be hooked. This is episode 301, and if you guys are interested in the BioAge supplements, we're just big fans of those as well. A really great way to boost your immune system and give yourself some incredible living food that I think will just really, really benefit your body. Check out our link, extremehealthradio.com/bioage, and the Qigong course we can't recommend highly enough either. You've been doing a lot lately, huh, Kate?
Yeah, I love it. I love there's something mental at the end of the night, especially flicking off all the negativity.
Yeah,
that comes to you during the day, and the morning is great. But you enjoy the morning more. I enjoy the evening.
I know, right?
There's something about letting everything go that I feel is so powerful before I lay on my biomat, before I go into my bed.
Yeah.
I love it.
We talked a lot about it on the extremehealthradio.com/300, our last Free for All Friday show. There's also information on our store page if you want to check more about that. Just a great amazing product. I mean, I'm just such a big fan of what Tristan's doing. Anyway, we're with Ron Becker from NewportFloat.com. All right, so I wanted to ask you too, Ron, about some of the things that we experienced. At least I experienced. I'm not sure if you did, Kate. It was really cool because when I was laying in the tank, one of the things that was really awesome was I just lost my need to be attached to things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like I felt, I was thinking about stuff with the radio show and all these people I have to get back to and all this stuff. And it was like, it's funny because when you do a meditation, you think it's like a fighting kind of a thing. You sit and you think, okay, I got to do this, I got to do that. And then you sort of force yourself not to write it down. But when I was in the tank, it was like, I would think that, but it wasn't, those ideas didn't have control over me, or they didn't have,
right.
It was the weirdest thing. I just felt like I wanted to let them go.
Well, I've tried
so
meditating
relaxed.
many times, and I've found that there's that whole thing with, David Lynch, the director, he wrote a kind of an interesting book about meditation. He's been doing transcendental meditation for like 30 years. It was kind of a weird, quirky book, but it was interesting. But
what's the book called?
David Lynch. Just type up meditation. It's got a funny name, Chasing the Fishes, or something with the fish or something in it. Yeah, I should have looked it up. But
that's funny.
He said, there's the thoughts that always keep coming. And when I was meditating, and they say you're not supposed to try to chase them away, you're supposed to kind of embrace them and all this. I think maybe what the chamber does is it allows, it's easier to let those thoughts go away. Whereas when you're sitting, I used to sit in the bathroom because I have 3 little kids and just, shut the door and just try to get away. And you feel the back of you're uncomfortable, your legs and all this stuff. Whereas I think maybe the chambers make it a little easier. And you talk about being the disconnected is very interesting. I've had 2 people tell me that, independent people tell me that for a brief while, they didn't have any sense of their body. Like they were almost like a brain sitting, and I was like, "Wow, I've never heard." I
had that the first time I was there.
Maybe because your body's just you don't feel anything going on, and your brain just kind of goes, "Okay, I'm just sitting here in outer space."
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing because that's the exact thing I had.
Yeah.
You tried to explain that to me. It was weird. I didn't quite have that, but you did.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the way home, and it was it's the weirdest thing because you don't feel the water unless you really move, but you don't feel the water, you don't feel the air.
Right.
It's really just the strangest environment I think ever, and extremely relaxing.
Well, I said it was like I felt like I was on like you see in the movies when they're out there in their space outfits, like floating, just like with no gravity. I mean, it was bizarre. You feel like you're just like floating and kind of out there with something holding you up. It was bizarre.
And that's the nice surprise. I think people that don't understand, they go in thinking they're going to be bored, and they're just like, is an hour okay? And then a lot of them end up going the full time. And the first time, I don't expect people to go the full hour and a half the first time.
Yeah.
A lot of them are an hour and 15, 20 minutes, and it's just, they're not, they're not used to it yet. But once people have done it once, they're looking forward to it. And I've had people come in day after day.
I mean, the magnesium, it does something to you. It changes your need for attachment. It's like you want to let go of everything.
It's the relaxing. It's the softening. Magnesium is what softens everything up, whereas calcium calcifies everything, and that's what that Circus book is interesting with that.
Catching the Big Fish.
Is that what it's called?
Catching the Big Fish.
Look at you. You're the only one here that's allowed to be online.
We've had a few technical problems.
We're sitting here with no computers except for you.
I have to say how many times that we've been with live shows in the chat room where at the end of it, a lot of our Texas people will be like, I got to go. I got a float session. And everybody's like, oh, man, I have one tomorrow. Or they're so excited in Texas about the flotation tanks.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's pretty cool.
I've had an interesting thing in West LA, where Venice is, more hippie.
Yeah.
Than Orange County. Orange County is more conservative, but I found that in Orange County, hardly anybody knows what it is, and I've been trying to kind of teach people, and it's it's starting to take off at my place, thank God. But it's I think it goes in the Austin, it goes in the San Francisco, it goes in the Venice areas a lot faster. People are more open to new things.
They're more open.
Yeah.
It's weird because we've talked about this before with like the re-evolution of the raw food diet that came sort of came into vogue again about 10 or 15 years ago, and David Wolf was doing all this work and explaining to people what it was and the value of enzymes and things. And it was just so interesting because he helped catapult an entire movement of people that got interested in raw food. It's mostly a lot of vegans or yoga people and stuff. But I feel like that's what's going on right now. We're starting to get to the point where we're getting the message out and trying to teach people. Because you said before we went on air that you would go to yoga studios and people would never even heard of.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
With all the information out there, I'm amazed. And then you'll have, like, I have one lady that has a yoga place, and she's brought in like 5 or 6 people in a short order. Like, she understands it. And then
was this an instructor that did
she's
this?
An instructor, yeah. And there's another one that's a friend referred me to, and she's a yoga instructor, but I think she's a PhD in something. So it's like the people kind of in the know are getting into this, and I'm surprised at how maybe everyone's just watching the Kardashians still these days, and they're not paying attention. But for me, it took a bit of a health scare, the vertigo and all that stuff, and I think that's what it takes for everybody. It's like, why change if you don't have to,
And I wonder if it's weird because there's a double thing going on in our culture with the texting and the phones. It's weird how people keep going down that path, and they seem like they're getting more and more engaged in their little devices.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's going to be somewhat of a backlash to that.
Well, you saw that. Did you see a video about 2 months ago? There was a guy that was brandishing a gun in a bus or a train somewhere. And nobody noticed it. They were all on a subway, and everyone was looking at it, their iPads or their phones, and he was walking around, and I don't know if he got shot after that or something, but
so he wasn't doing this just as a funny test.
He was flipping it around like, he was trying to threaten people, but nobody even look at him. They're all looking at their things, and that's what's scary. I like to pay attention when I'm in when I'm in crowds and stuff. I don't like to stare. I stare at my phone if I'm locked in my car or in my house, but man, I like to know what's going on.
Yeah,
that's frightening.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Look at that. Yeah, on YouTube, it's amazing.
I've seen. You see it all the time. I see it every single day where people are texting and driving and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I think that there's something that's. I feel like people that are interested in sort of deeper things, whatever spiritual religion they are, those types of people, I feel like would be the perfect candidate for trying something like this.
Right.
And I think that those are the types of people that are going to wake up and start wanting to disconnect a little bit. Yeah, go deeper and disconnect.
Yeah, and I learned that also from circus is there's naturopathic and there's allopathic medicine, and we've gone so far down this drugs thing. When I had my kidney stones, nothing was mentioned. It was like, well, maybe avoid spinach because it's got oxalates in it and this and that. But I was like, can't we fix this? Why do I need an operation? Why are they there? There's never a question why something happens. And
what'd they say? Did they?
He just he just wanted his, the $5,000 for the operation. That's what it turned out. And I'm like going, and I got so angry because and then I've had a friend die of colon cancer about 5 months ago, and he was 50, and he went straight down the allopathic, right to chemotherapy.
Oh, really?
And what's funny, he was a West Side kind of a hippie guy, and he went. As soon as he got cancer, he went right to the, Cedars-Sinai. He went right to those top doctors.
Yeah.
And I've had my wife's friend just died about 2 months ago, and this cancer thing is she had something in her stomach, I think stomach cancer, about 10 years ago, and they did all the chemotherapy one way. And but when it comes back, and from what I've been hearing from other podcasts, when it comes back, it's a lot stronger because the ones that survived that first chemotherapy, they start replicating, and they're not gonna. And so she died fast. And I had already knew as I go, this if it came back like this. And she was gone in a matter of months after that.
Yeah, because those are the ones that made it through the chemo, so they're stronger cells or whatever.
They can handle the radiation or whatever. Yeah. So I was trying to get my friend to go down to see Dr. Circus down in Brazil. I'm like, you know what? If it's that bad, go to Brazil. Go try this guy for a month. Why do you need to start irradiating and everything? You know?
What'd he say?
And he's just, I trust this and that, and now he's gone.
Well, I had the same thing. With a friend of mine from high school. I think I might have told you this when we first came in, but at the time she was 36 and she had colon cancer. She did the chemotherapy and stuff like that. What's the main one in Houston?
MD Anderson.
MD Anderson, yeah, she went and did all that and ended up passing away.
Yeah.
I mean, 36 years old at the time.
Yeah, I hear with, I was just listening to another podcast with, I think Abel James. And and there's a doctor on there, and he just said his mom had, and she had a relapse, and he went, she had it 10 years ago, whatever. She had that relapse, and he changed her diet radically, and she's fine. She's water skis every day. And this was, years ago that she got the second relapse. So it's like, the nutrition's everything. And that's, I'm on the paleo diet because, the sugar, and like I was just telling you guys, two side benefits of not having sugar is I don't get sunburned anymore. It takes a heck of a long time, and I got freckly skin. Yeah. And so I don't get red sunburns like I used to, and I don't get mosquito bites anymore, which I know, Justin, you still get a few mosquito bites, but I used to get attacked, and I swear I was just breathing out this nice sugary air, and they just couldn't resist, but they're gone. My wife and kids get mosquito bites because they're not on the same diet as me, but it's a nice side benefit,
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I just think that...
I've heard too, we've talked about how floating, it seems like such a good complementing therapy for people going through health stuff, because when you're in there, you might be dealing with your issues and not even know it. You might be getting in such a relaxed state that you're actually, without having to work through things like anger or forgiveness, you're kind of absorbing that kind of hug and love from that space that I feel like it's almost setting people up to be able to heal more. So if I was sick, I'd float every day. If I was
it supports that a lot.
I think sick people. Have you talked to anyone coming in that's
the
had
interesting
challenges?
thing? I've had a couple of guys that I've got a great client. His name's Lou, and he was he's like in recovery. I guess I don't know of what. I didn't talk to him too much about it, but him and another guy said that for recovering addicts, they go, this is the best thing. So I've kind of been reaching out to some of these in the area.
That's awesome.
And I guess it's because, I don't know, I'm not an addict, but my dad was a alcoholic. And so it's kind of in the family, but I guess maybe your brain doesn't shut off if you're just thinking about the drugs, so this
constant
something I don't know why, but I've had two guys go, oh my God, you got to get more addicts in there. This is incredible. I was like, okay, I'm learning all this, and 5 weeks open, it's just, there's so much more to learn.
There's so many different applications to something like this. It seems so simple, but I suspect, it's the body that does the healing for anything, and even just with, eating natural foods, a lot of times people think, this supplement is what heals me. But if it's the body that does the healing, which it appears as though that's the case, something like flotation would only support the body's ability to use all of its energy. It's sort of like sleeping.
Yeah.
Your body then can use all the energy instead of thinking about all this stuff, because the magnesium just takes away the desire to think about stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you're not thinking about stuff and stressing and worrying about your day-to-day activities, and you're in that tank, it's almost like your body says, okay, now I'm going to focus all my energy on, it's like doing a juice fast or something. Like, now I'm going to give all my energy to healing whatever. And it wouldn't, like we couldn't say that float tanks heal people, but I think they support the whole healing process.
Yeah, because you're not wasting energy on texting and worrying about 16 different things at once. You're out of it,
Yeah.
So and I, you might be out of it more than a lot of sleep. a lot of times when I'm sleeping, I'm waking up, I'm having weird dreams and stuff.
Yeah.
Not in the isolation chamber,
Have you had any weird experiences in there? Have you had any people talk about seeing visions or seeing things or?
No, personally, I haven't. I just keep nodding off, and that's fine for me. If the visions and the drums come later, because I hear that people have heard drums. I'm like what, your brain is making that up? So I haven't had that yet, but I haven't done it nearly as much as I want to, because I'm there 12 hours a day now, and I've got, my wife doesn't drive, so I've got 3 kids, and I run back and forth. And so, last night I got home at, I went to bed at 12, and then I got up at 6 this morning, to make sure I can get here on time. And then it's like every day is like that. I've got to get up early and make sure all the heat's perfect and everything else. So I need to get in there badly. I'm stressed out.
I bet I know you're about 12 feet from the tanks.
They're right there. They're beckoning me, but I can't get in.
You're like in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
Wow.
One day when I get successful enough, I'll be able to sneak
have
in
some
there.
time to.
Yeah.
And you will.
If you had the ability to do this, let's say that everything was running up and everything was running like a well-oiled machine, and you had enough tanks. If you could go into the tanks every single day, how long and how often would you do it? Would you do it every day?
I would definitely try it every day because I haven't done it yet. I don't know if that's ideal or not. I've heard some people say ideal for them is every week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I'd sure as heck. I'd even try 4 hours and see what happens. And like one lady that goes in for 4 hours all the time. So, I'd love to try it every day just to see. I like experimenting.
Yeah, I would like to do more. I think I went in for an hour and 15.
Yeah.
And it was funny because
you were an hour and a half.
Yeah, it wasn't until about 30, 40 minutes in until I started getting really comfortable and starting to let go, and I kind of let my head dip back a little bit and kind of just gave up and just floated. But it was towards the end of that time just sort of starts speeding up.
Yeah.
And when you knocked on the door, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I could spend 4 hours in here easy.
It was the wrong time to knock, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was just dipping off or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Well, and maybe what you can do is next time you can come at the late session and I'll give a gentle knock and you just yell some curse words back at me and I'll leave you in there for another hour. I'll just come in the morning and see
I was going to say you can sleep overnight.
Yeah, it is funny that people sleep because in a bed you can turn over, but people will go, oh my God, aren't I going to die if I sleep? But you think about it, there's water, so you can't push against it. The only way to turn over, I think, is to if you kicked your leg, like you scissored your legs over, and that way you could flip your body over. But who does that? You know what I mean? So people just snooze and they're happy. It's little clams in there.
Yeah, it's the strangest. I have to say, it's the strangest feeling because you're in there and there's nothing that even with us now, or if you were to sit and meditate or pray, and you sit quietly by a bed or something on the ground, you're still feeling the ground. You're feeling the clothes on you. Yeah. You're smelling whatever smells are in the room.
It's hot or cold.
It's hot or cold. You can feel a little bit of a breeze if the fan's on or if there's noise. And when you're trying to get into that state, every little thing causes your brain, I think, to sort of activate and fire. Then you got to process what that is. And,
right. The beta waves are going nonstop.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like it's a big deal because it's not really that big a deal to feel the wind of a fan. But when you switch all that off, it's just the strangest feeling for me. It was just so relaxing, and
there's definitely nothing.
I think your second one's going to be really good because you've already know where you want to go now.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to try to get you some a little neck pillow because I've had about 1% of the people are complaining about their necks, so I want to have those available just in case.
Did a little research last night and was watching some more YouTube videos. And I saw one of the guys using one of those. He had one of those things, those little spaghetti things that they have in pools.
Oh, like a noodle?
Oh, really? Looked like a skinny one, kind of, or was it a big fat one?
It looked like it was about about that big.
Okay.
And it looked like the same kind of ones kids use.
So
but
you just cut it up into pieces and let him use that.
He could have cut it up, but then I was thinking he was in one of those float pods.
Right.
He was going around. He spent time with Crash. This was a guy from Vice.
Right. I saw that.
Yeah, and he went to Crash, and then he went to talk with Rogan, and then he did the Samadhi stuff, and then he was in one of those circular float pod things.
Right.
And so I'm not sure what the filtration. I was a little worried about if that plastic it would be bad or what.
Yeah, I researched this a lot, and I decided to Crash Hoffler is just a man. I mean, he's been doing this I think about 12 years, and it's funny.
Is that his first name?
I'm sure it's a nickname.
It's like a stage name, right?
Yeah, but he's German and Irish like I am, so we both have the same. We have the same drive, but we can relax too. But it's funny when he started, I guess, on Venice, he had a sign out there, and he said he couldn't give these away. People walking past, what the heck is that? And then really? I think what happened is when Rogan started talking about it, he's got so many followers that it started booming, and now he's booked out into October, which is about 6 weeks out right now.
How did he hold on with his business, I wonder, until that happened?
I don't know. I think he might have been doing okay. He was in the recording industry or something. Like he's in real engineer type. Like I call him a mad scientist. But what he's done with these is it's kind of nice because a lot of those white ones they're kind of flat. They're kind of more coffiny. And so I guess if you are claustrophobic, you don't want to be looking at a roof, a 1.5 or 2 feet away from your face. So
yeah, your ones are really high ceilings.
7 feet tall. I mean, they're tall and they're 8 feet by 4 feet. And so the key with what Crash has done is, and what supported my decision to get these was there's half micron filtration, which catches any kind of little skin stuff, because you might have 6 or 7 bodies in there a day.
Okay.
You need to keep the water pristine. And so not only does he use the filtration, but he's got commercial grade ozone and UV. So if you look those up, you'd see that those have been used forever they kill any kind of bacteria, anything. And so, the water goes through these tubes that just burn any, and the UV just burns any kind of bacteria. And
is there a reason why he uses both? Because isn't one, like, if he just used ozone, wouldn't that be good enough?
I would assume so, but he's a crazy engineer, so he probably wanted to make
just
sure,
everything.
and he's done like lab tests, and he's showed me he's got lab results on the water and stuff.
Wow.
That's why I bought these, because I've heard of things like chlorine being used to clean them, because if they don't have that kind of UV and stuff. So I did not want to get into that, because chlorine gets aerosolized, and
then you're breathing that stuff.
Yeah. I don't even like to go in chlorinated pools anymore now that I know
it's carcinogenic.
So now there's a pool close to us, but it's salt, but I think it makes chlorine with the sodium, with the salt. It makes it out of salt, but so it doesn't taste like chlorine, at least. So at least we're
maybe
halfway
that's a
there.
step up.
Yeah.
The ones you use.
I was curious because I was wondering, people probably are wondering how these things stay so clean. They're not freaked out about going in them.
Yeah, that's the key is you want to make sure that there's disinfection, they call it. There's and this has got both ozone and UV disinfection. Filtration's one thing, but if somebody was to pee in a tank or something like that, you don't know, I mean, what if there's a little, somebody has a cut and there's a little blood? You want that stuff to be disinfected. And
so they both do that.
Yeah, these things burn and kill any kind of that stuff.
So after someone goes in the tank, and they get out, I think you showed me, doesn't all the water get sucked out and then run through this stuff?
It goes through a 10-minute flush, and I think it's 90 gallons a minute. It goes through that fast. So it just cycles it a few times, I think.
Okay.
And so it just runs through. I mean, it sounds like a jet engine taking off. It's really cool. And,
wow.
So you flush that. It's about 10 minutes each time. And,
wouldn't that be cool to have one of these in your home?
Oh my gosh.
Well, you'd need a lot of money, I think, because
so cool.
you have to keep the water warm all the time, because the salt, if the water cools down, the salt will re-solidify and it'll clog up all your filters and everything. So I think that's what I've heard.
That's why it's so clear, and
you keep it at at 94 or so, 95 degrees. So it would be nice to have one at home, man.
Could you imagine?
I would love to. And there's people, I've heard of people that have these at home, and then they let people come in and maybe take a tip or something. Not quite legal, but
a donation.
A donation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's called a donation. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really amazing to have one of these things at your house.
Yeah.
But they're quite expensive, right?
Yes, they're not cheap. It was you're definitely paying a lot for these type of systems, but I don't want to have to keep changing the water out and worrying that people are in water that's not pristine.
Yeah. So you have the magnesium and then the salt.
Magnesium sulfate. Yeah, I think it's.
And so after someone gets out of the thing, it takes about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's 10. As soon as I hear the showers go on, I push the buttons, and it while they're in the shower, the machines are running for about 10 minutes, and then what's interesting, you open it up right after, and it's like milk. Did you see that? Did I show it to you?
No.
The water is it looks like almost like milk. There's so much ozone in there, and then the ozone dissolves. Ozone breaks down really fast.
Okay.
But we use ozone oil on. I had a burn. It's amazing. This ozone oil. I had a burn, and I put some of that on it. And usually, when you have a burn, it hurts for like 3 days.
Oh,
you just keep feeling it.
Yeah.
It went away immediately. You put ozone oil on it, and so we use it on our kids if they have cuts or anything. It's amazing how fast that heals things.
Online, or where did you get it?
Yeah, I bought it online. We keep it in the fridge, and it stinks. It's got a weird smell to it. But that, it's hyper oxygenated. So for some reason, man, on a burn, I couldn't believe, I was like, oh, I burned my hand. I'm going to be hurting for days. It went away immediately. I've never had that happen before.
Is that, what website is that? Do you know?
I don't know. That's pretty popular. Just look for ozone oil.
Ozone oil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know people use like, ozonated olive oil. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I think this might be olive. It might be olive based, but they have different bases, so they smell differently. I think. Yeah,
they have them a bunch right here. It came up on Amazon even. And
really?
Some store called Pure Energy.
They're kind of expensive. They're little tiny ones. They're small, but they last forever. I mean, it's like Vaseline. Yeah, it looks like Vaseline kind of. Yeah.
So the ozone probably mixed with the oxy or what's the other
UV, the ultraviolet.
So people can feel safe because essentially they get in there naked. Do people go in there with bathing suits on ever?
They have. I tell them not to because as soon as one guy went in, he either had a bathing suit on or he had kind of dreadlocks, and so he might have used soap before he went in, but as soon as I opened the chamber, I saw suds, and I had to keep flushing and flushing and flushing it to because it's hard to catch soap. Soap goes through the membranes, right?
Oh,
you know what I mean? It's so viscous. So I'm like, so I kind of warn everyone, it's like, even if you want to, do not wear a bathing suit, because there's so much residual soap in our clothes,
Yeah.
People use way too much when they wash their clothes.
Yeah, or they wash their hair too, it's still in there.
Yeah, so I try to tell people to rinse off first, and don't use soap first, but after, use as much as you want, especially clean your ears out, because the salt will re-solidify. And
I had that salt in my ear for 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
That's a funny feeling.
Well, that guy with the dreads was stoked. It was like his own natural little pillow.
Yeah.
He didn't have to have a head pillow.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, he had long dreadlocks. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is just a great show. So we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're with Ron Becker. This is episode 301, and we'll be right back.
Real people, real stories.
And he discovered Carnivora, was so thrilled with the product that he shared it with his family and his friends and his patients. My dad was a family physician who was a medical doctor.
Almost all the symptoms were either diminished or gone. Amazing product, amazing results.
And found Carnivora. Something really wonderful was happening. I had to show my family. I mean, I've never seen anything like this.
It's like an amazing thing, having such a profound change in how I feel and knowing that it was the Carnivora that did it.
Hello, folks. Richard Ostro, owner for Carnivora Research International here. Wake up your immune system and that of your loved ones to protect yourselves against harmful invaders. Used successfully by President Reagan in 1985 when he had it sent to the White House. Visit carnivora.com or call 1-866-VENUS-FLY. That's CARNIVORA.com or dial 1-866-VENUS-FLY and start protecting yourself today.
So a few years ago when I was working for this company, it was a really small company, and I had been wanting a Vitamix blender for years and years and years, but they're so expensive, and I just hadn't saved the money at that time to get one. And so as a Christmas bonus, they knew that I loved the Vitamix, so they got me a Vitamix, the 5000 blender. And that thing is so incredible. It was right at the beginning of my raw food journey, and I was using it about 3 times a day, really. Today, I still use it about twice a day to make blended smoothies and things like that. But the Vitamix blender is really, really great. And if you go to extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, that will redirect you over to there, and then you'll be able to purchase that, and we'll get a commission for your order. And you'll also get free shipping, too, so that'll be great for you if you're interested in saving about $25 on the shipping. And with the Vitamix, you can make sauces and dips and bread. You could make ice cream with it. I've done a lot of ice cream. You can just make the most incredible things. And it's my favorite because it's got a tamper on it. And you can put ice and frozen berries and avocado and some honey and things like that, and with no water at all, and you have that tamper, and you can make the most amazing ice creams with it. So the Vitamix is my favorite blender of choice, and if you're in the market to buy one, I would greatly encourage you to do so if you have the money for it. And if you do it through us, through extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, I'll get a little commission for it, and you'll get free shipping. So it works out for you and for us too. So if you're in the market, please do it through us. That'd be really cool. And you're going to love this thing when you get it. You're going to fall in love with it. You'll never go back to a regular blender again. So check that out, extremehealthradio.com/Vitamix, and I hope you enjoy it.
All free shows, all the time on Extreme Health Radio. opening minds and transforming lives worldwide. Join our community today. Sign up to our email list and instantly get our free gift to you, along with loads of inspirational content and cutting-edge tips to help change your life at extremehealthradio.com/subscribe.
So, Kate, how have you been liking the Vitamix? You've been loving that thing lately, haven't you?
I've always loved the Vitamix, but I've been relying on it more than normal.
I know, right?
Had a lot of dietary changes, even more so come up in the last couple weeks.
Which we'll talk about soon.
Yep. I mentioned it a little bit on our last free-for-all, but I have been Vitamixing up the world.
What I love the Vitamix, too, is that you can actually make juices, too. If you don't have a juicer, you can get a nut milk bag. And make these awesome juice. I love the Vitamix. I use it every day in the winter too, but I just love it during the summer. There's something about it.
Something about smoothies in the summer that are just so refreshing. In winter, we drink them and then we're freezing the rest of the day.
I know, right?
And we're in California. We're wusses.
I know. What are we thinking?
Right.
So this is episode 301. We're with Ron Becker here of NewportFloat.com, and it's just a lot of fun. If you guys would like to stay up to date with our upcoming shows, we have lots of great shows coming up every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific. If you guys would like to join us. This Wednesday, we have Dr. Allison Adams. We're going to be talking about chronic fatigue and
her book has changed my life.
Fibromyalgia, right? Mm-hmm. You've been loving that book.
Well, and just fatigue-related syndromes in general.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be really interesting. Then Richard Ostro about how to boost your immune system on Thursday, and then Free for All Friday show. And next Monday, we have Mark Sisson from marksdailyapple.com, big paleo guy.
Right on. That's right.
So that'd be a lot of fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you guys want to stay up to date with everything that we have going on, plus get a really awesome free ebook called Lessons from the Miracle Doctors, which teaches you about cleansing, detoxification, how to do castor oil packs, how to do coffee enemas, how to do all kinds of these cleansing and detox, and just really great programs in this book that sells for $20 on Amazon.
But for you today,
it's free. Free. Lessons from the Miracle Doctors, written by John Barron, sells for $20. So if you sign up, we'll send that to you immediately after you sign up, and then you get to stay up to date with all of our upcoming shows and stuff like that. So that's the best way to stay up to date with everything we have going on. There's boxes for that on our website. So put your name and email address in there, and you're off and running. All right, we're having a great time here with Ron Becker from. What is your website again? I forget. Float?
It's NewportFloat.com.
NewportFloat.com. And I wanted to ask you, too, you said you had a couple challenges or something like that when you first started, right?
Yes. This was the hardest thing I've ever done. It took about 5 to 6 months to get this going. We had to do night construction because of the, an acupuncturist next door. Just an amazing amount of things. The city, I had to hire a full architect, which I had no idea. When you think you're in there's like 40 units where I am. You think you can just build a restaurant or build whatever. And maybe if you have a restaurant, you put the health department checks things out. No. Yeah. You have to, I had to spend, I think, $6,000 to $8,000 just on an architect to draw me up some little rooms.
Just for him to draw the rooms?
Just draw the rooms and show the mechanical, electrical, and I guess it makes sense for fire danger and all that. But man, it's like building a house. And so maybe that didn't exist 20 years ago, but I learned about it now. So we went through all this, and then at the right at the end. I was at Universal Studios with the wife and kids, having one of the worst days of my life because the city guy, who's a nice guy, but he literally called me that day and said, I don't know if you're going to be able to open it. I mean, and I had already sunk, a lot of, I literally the next day I broke out in hives. I started getting those little red spots all over, which is bizarre. I had that once about 25 years ago under a huge stress. So that was my day at Universal Studios. It was a really fun day, obviously.
Family day,
yeah. I bet your wife just looks back and thinks, oh wow.
I was so angry and just stressed that day, but so we get we get kind of past that, and the last thing, the city actually had to call the UL listing office, like in Washington D.C., to make sure that we were close. And we're just about UL listed with these, which means Underwriter Laboratories. They make sure that all the components as one piece is legal, and you could just make 1 million of them and send them out just like a product. It has to be safe. So he talked to the guy in Washington D.C. and the crash. The manufacturer was just kind of shocked that, this guy really did his job. So, unfortunately, I got a very diligent, city guy. So, the last thing he wanted us to do was to do some grounding with some copper wire. So, it was, electrical, and it looked like the next day, if we did this night, we were going to possibly be able to open the next day. And this is like 5-6 weeks ago. So, I've got $150 worth of electrical wire. That stuff's expensive. It's that really thick, like 8-gauge copper wire. And copper, everyone's stealing that from schools and selling it and getting electrocuted right now. Yeah. It's so expensive. So I've got my wife and kids. I'm carrying that electrical copper wire towards the building. And this is after just 1 million other little problems that I ran into. And as I'm walking towards the building, we hear an explosion. And there's an arc, those electrical type explosion.
They make that weird noise.
The weird noise that just sends, chills down your spine. And I think it's like a lightning bolt. It's something primeval in our, DNA that we don't like that sound because we know we're going to get shocked. And you saw a big arc go on, and right behind my office, there's a big telephone pole, and I think it caught on fire. It was arcing. And all the lights, all the electricity went out in the building. And I felt at that point I wanted to personally apologize to the city because I was trying to open this business that I caused this. Because as I'm walking towards the building with a bunch of electrical wire, the electricity in half of the city went out that day. And I called, and there were fire trucks going up Harbor Boulevard, which is the main street there, and they were passing us. And I go, well, it's something bigger, you know what I mean? And then I found out that like 4 underground things had exploded or something. So
as a result of
me trying to open this business, no, I'm just kidding. So, there was something big. But as how weird that I'm finally get the okay if I do one more thing, and I'm walking there with electrical equipment, and the building goes out at that minute. I'm just like, are you kidding me?
And you mean not just your suite in the building, but the entire...
Half the city, all the stoplights were out. So, but, I have to think I had something to do with that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You start waving a white flag. Like,
and I'm hoping, I'm hoping that, okay, this is all the bad luck now. The business is going to be great. And it's been good. I've been more than half full. I've had the last 2 days I've been full, surprisingly. Awesome. So, 5 weeks open, that's not bad. I mean, it usually takes a long time.
What do you think? Because we've come in, is that just the natural progression of starting a business? Or do you think, because oftentimes we talk about whether or not you feel this resistance, like there's some greater thing going on where there's some sort of force that wants to prevent you from doing this? Or is that just the natural, do you think, of starting your own business, the natural ups and downs?
Well, I'm hoping that the bigger rewards are the tougher ones that at the beginning to get past. And there's something out there that maybe tries to shut you down, because there's big rewards coming. That's what I'm hoping. I want to look at it in a positive light because, I'm hoping I'm not cursed here or something because of all that. But, I think that means that there's more positive things. Maybe you've got to get all this negative stuff out of the way before the big positive things can happen.
Yeah, that's kind of like what we're thinking.
Daily tell ourselves.
Yeah, we've had, just today we were trying to get you in the studio. For those that don't know, we're trying to get you in the studio, and our computer wouldn't work. The monitor wouldn't work, and so now we're doing this.
You can blame that on me.
You're electrical.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things that you wonder. Sometimes you start getting into that mindset. Am I cursed? What's going on?
Yeah. I was driving to Staples to get a new monitor, and I seriously was just like, talking out loud to myself, like, God, is this what we're supposed to be doing? Like, sometimes you really wonder, but, I kept feeling just the peace to keep going forward. It was weird as I went on a beach walk this morning. I got up extra early, was grounding myself, walking along the water. And this is a new thing for me to do every morning, to enjoy the beach while we're this close to it. And at the end, I've been sitting on a rock, and I just close my eyes with just the ocean noise alone. And I always just say, what do you have for me today? Like, what am I supposed to know today? And you know what today it was?
I don't want to know.
It's awesome. I feel like I got this full hit, and I feel like God said to me, I have vast gifts and more than enough resources.
Oh, nice.
And it came out of nowhere. So that's the kind of thinking when you know it's not really you. But I thought, we could use some of that right now. It's not our own resources. It's not our own energies. We have nothing to do with it. We're just the little conduits that are trying to do what we think we're called to do. And the rest is just like, you let it go and you trust. And it's hard though. You know, right after that, I was like, man, you get hit with this thing where nothing was working. And you're like, what am I doing? You know, but I have to cling to that because I thought there are more than enough resources and we're not the ones to know why things don't seem to be working.
I wonder if there's more going on. I think there is,
on an energetic level.
Yeah, I just think there's more happening and more, just the whole unseen world that, kind of goes around and surrounds all of us. And
I feel like when you're doing your calling, it's like you are going to come up against some resistance because you're making the world different.
Yeah, you're changing people. Yeah. You're helping people's bodies help heal themselves. And
people love it. Well, on this kind of metaphysical thing, I had, when my dad died, few years ago, it was the weirdest thing. I was asleep, and this is like a few days after he died, and I had a picture of him when he was 3, and he had real long hair. He looked like a girl, but he's really cute, 3 years old. And, he died, he was about 80. So I saw him, I was dreaming, and I saw him as he was like 3. And it was bizarre, there were stars behind him. And he was trying to talk to me, and I couldn't understand him because he was on a different plane. And I kind of understood this. I was like,
in the dream, you knew this?
Yeah, he was trying to tell me something, and I couldn't understand. I was like, oh, we can't understand each other because I'm here and you're there.
Wow.
And he kept saying something, and finally it came out. And he said, don't worry about this. Don't worry about it. And I said, what? And he said, power. And that was the word. And to this day, I don't know what he meant because I've never been like a power, I've never been one, to run giant Fortune 500 companies and all that. I'm going, power.
What does that mean?
Isn't that weird? But I got that out of a dream from my dad sitting there with a bank of stars behind him as he was like 3 years old, and he was telling me not to worry. And I was
so in your dream, he was 3 telling you
he was like 3. As I saw him when he was 3, like into this picture with his long hair. And
that's so strange.
And it was the most bizarre thing that's ever happened to me. And I woke up immediately after that. So you know how you wake up from a dream, you know exactly what's going on. I was like, power, and is this power just trying to start a business? Is this what I'm going after? And so I kind of put myself in check after that. I said, because I've been a real estate appraiser for 20 years. And, maybe I was too money hungry, something like that. So I've always kind of used that, but that's just a little side note on this metaphysical stuff we're talking about.
Interesting.
Isn't that weird? Yeah.
I wonder if you'll get any more hits from your father if you do the tank more, as you continue doing it more and more.
That would be great. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Awesome. It would be awesome.
Have you ever gone in and sort of tried to bring that up or connect that?
No, it was so long ago, and it's kind of in the back of my mind now. But it's weird. It was funny too when he died. I was in the Philippines with my wife, and we were in a place called the Shangri-La, which is bizarre.
No way.
We were visiting. We couldn't afford it. It was a real expensive resort. But it's funny because Shangri-La is supposed to be heaven, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I was when I got the phone call. I was like, you got to be kidding me, So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so there's a couple of little things there.
Man, people could go into the tank and they could explore all this stuff. Like you said, one of the 3 reasons people go in there is... what were they? One was to
meditation, rumination, or sleep. That's kind of what I'm getting so far out of people. This is what they like to do.
If you wanted to go into the tank and sort of go over stuff, or maybe
set an intention.
I know a lot of people go in there and they'll say positive things to themselves.
Right.
Sort of recondition their mind.
That's what I did. I actually talked to my body the whole time. I kept telling myself positive things about healing. And
what would be really cool is I think I've saw this somewhere online. Is I wonder if it would be if the tanks ever one day will evolve to the point where you could record your own maybe statements that you want to say and have them play, even though it's not complete sensory deprivation because you're listening to something. But I wonder if there's a way to use the tanks as a way of breaking through obstacles or overcoming emotional things where you could do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's...
I'm sure it will. And there's a lot... there's a lot of interesting stuff that's I know Crash is working on with kind of vibrational, putting vibrations in the water that that influence cellular stuff. So there's
what does that do?
Yeah, would you feel the vibration?
I don't know. I've got to talk to him about it, but that would be so cool. I would love to, because I've seen his books on it and stuff, and I'd like to read on this because everything's got frequencies. Your kidney has this frequency, your liver has that frequency.
Right.
So
what if you could program the water to have some sort of
like a wife machine, like a healing
to work with your liver or something?
Yeah.
To work if you had liver issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if water aren't computer chips now pretty much a little dot of water? I mean, it can hold infinite amount of information or frequency, so that would be awesome.
Wouldn't that be incredible?
Wow, you never know where these things are going to go.
I mean, imagine. I mean, how long have they been around? Well, since the 50s, but how long has Crash been doing? 12 years?
About 12 years, I think. Yeah.
So imagine if it's made this much progression in 12 years. Imagine in another 10 or 15 years. Imagine. Yeah. Because I imagine these things will be the type of thing that people will have a setting for, and so maybe if they have liver issues, they'll come for that, or maybe they want to overcome. Like maybe they're just surrounded with negativity or negative people. So maybe they'd be able to record affirmations or, have, I think you mentioned something about there being...
Yeah, like a projection where you look like you're flying through stars or something like that. Who knows? I mean, there's, that's not sensory deprivation, but maybe there's something else. I know there's visuals, there's real low level visuals he's been working with, where you can barely see the light moving and it could probably put you in some kind of a trance or something. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. Yeah, exactly.
Because you could do even things with smells, or I've seen some of the float pods. I don't know if this would be any good, but I've seen some of the like those sort of pod things. Mm-hmm. They have this weird light that they put into the water. Have you seen that? Where it's like a...
Yeah, I don't know if they use that during or if it's just to light it up for you to get in. I'm not sure.
For pictures or something?
Yeah, I've never been in one of those.
But I mean, it seems like... that stuff wouldn't be true sensory deprivation. I like the true sense. I mean, that's what I'm into.
Exactly, yeah.
But I imagine to appeal to the wider masses that if you start increasing the flexibility of what these things can do and what types of things they could cater to. I bet Crash, he sounds like he's a crazy man.
He's
probably researching this right now.
He's a mad scientist, and he's way ahead of us on, sometimes I think he has a hard time talking with normal people because he's already thought this stuff out by 5 or 10 years, so he's his mind's on a bit of a different wavelength for sure, but I like him. He's he's just a crazy mad scientist that's really into he's into perfection, and that's perfection, not perfection, but in making the best thing he can.
Yeah, he's not really like sort of half-assing anything.
Exactly. He charges a lot because he's got the best components. He doesn't buy anything cheap. You can see he's got buttons that are rated for 1 million pushes. That's the type of stuff he gets into. So the wiring's good. Everything's. And these things look commercial. These are big, strong tubes with huge bolts going through them. So there's no leaking, nothing. Yeah, this isn't just a bunch of PVC pipes.
Yeah, I remember when you showed me the whole back room. Do you remember that?
That was like a mad scientist laboratory. That place was crazy.
Yeah, all the computer systems back there.
It's amazing.
Got it dialed in.
I really looking forward to the future of where these things can take people. Could you imagine like a Gregorian chant or some sort of chant?
Oh, it'd be so cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the the meditative state. They put themselves into that theta brainwave with the chant. So maybe that would get you in there faster.
Gosh.
Thanks for taking the leap, Ron, and doing this, because so many people are going to be able to benefit from, not a lot of people would take this risk and put it out there for the masses to be able to experience this stuff. They're not everywhere. They're very select places where you have to.
Who would be the most benefit or I guess targeted market for this? Like you said, young or late 20s.
I'm getting it's almost 50-50, maybe a few more men than women. And it's kind of the yoga. It's definitely the hippie. I've had people tell me they take an edible before they go in there. I'm like, well, to each his own, you know.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, so you get it's 20s. You know, people in their 20s are huge, and you know,
which is funny because they're all the people that grew up with the internet.
Yeah, but they're the ones that are, you know how we were when we were 20. You were experimenting with everything, and you know, so and then people's minds start closing off a little bit. I've noticed it. Like over 50. You get just a few, you know, that are interested, and you know, and then they're more anxiety prone. I've noticed a lot. They're scared of it. It's like, wow, I don't want to be like that. I'm 48. I don't want to be
just regressing.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to be afraid of things as I get older. And it's like you got to keep opening things up. You know.
Yeah.
Like
and that's what is so great about the magnesium. It does that.
Yeah, and I heard a smart thing by an old man once. He was like 80, and he was still climbing mountains and doing things. And he said, he says, as you get older, you need to take more risks because you've got less to lose. If you're 80 years old, you can go climb mountains, because if you fall, you're going to lose 3 years. But if you do that when you're 20, you're going to lose 50 years.
So you should be even more.
He says, as you get older, you need to take more risks because you got less life left. You know, that's an interesting little thing. You know,
I love that.
Interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's a cool idea because you know, you have less to lose, but then also by the time you're 80 years old, you're naturally more calcified and more closed-minded.
Yeah,
and so in order to prevent that from happening, taking risks and overcoming fears. That's why I'm so glad that you went in.
Thanks. I know.
Because you look at these things, if you've never seen one before, like I'm surprised that guest or that client that got it as a surprise. I'm surprised he even went in.
His wife might have made him, but he stayed in there an hour and 15 minutes, you know.
Did he?
Yeah, but again, you know, she made us the butt of the joke because he was shocked. He's like, "What the heck?" He had no idea what it was. But I'm kind of telling people now, if they're if they won't stay in because they're afraid of the dark and all this stuff, what I tell them to do is crack the door, have light in, just lay in there like it's a bathtub. And get the magnesium at least, because if you've got anxiety, you need magnesium.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be sensory deprivation, but it's just laying there for 45 minutes with the door cracked. That way you can see outside and you're not scared. So I just came across that a few days ago. I go, well, go in there and crack the door then.
Yeah, it just eases them into it.
And then later, once you get comfortable, you just close the door.
That's what I did, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't just full on. I wanted to, but I thought, I'm going to have a little
bit. Little light.
Comfy.
Do you have to put your hand up there or something?
You know what? I put my shirt.
Oh,
I
gotcha.
barely just.
It was all salty after, I'm sure, right? Yeah.
Yep.
How funny.
It absorbed it, I think.
Yeah.
I wonder if, you know, this, I suspect that this is going to be a huge growing movement, I think. Yeah. And I wonder if there's a different way to market it to people who are like 30s, 40s, 50s, that are sort of like businessmen that aren't really concerned about spirituality or thinking or religion or, you know, hippie type stuff. I wonder, because these people are working every day in jobs and it's stressful.
They're the ones who need it.
But the problem is that most of the stuff that's online that where people talk about this kind of stuff seems to be where people are more hippies and then, like you said, doing some pot or something before they go in.
Right.
Which to each his own, but it seems like if people that are 45 could wake up and see a good presentation of what this is, there's a whole market there of people.
Yeah, and these are the people, like, you know, my age, 48. I'm the guy who needs this. You know what I mean? The 22-year-old, they don't have that much stress. I mean, they might be zoned out because they're on the computers and stuff all day, so they may need it in that. But it's the constant stress that you need to.
I mean, that office environment.
And the kids and the wife and the bringing home food and just the money and all this stuff. It's like, just let yourself get away from everything for an hour and a half, you know?
Yeah.
I wonder if people are going to be more adverse to it, even though they would be perfect candidates, because as people get more and more into their phones, I mean, God only knows what kind of new gadgets are going to come out.
Oh, they'll probably start putting implants in their heads.
Yeah, I was thinking in our
the
brains.
Google Glass.
It's like, and you know, they have the new watch coming out. I'm like, wait, would I want a Wi-Fi watch right next to my wrist all day?
Your pulse,
with you? Yeah, and you're picking up all that radio, you know, the magnetic whatever's going on there. It's like, you know, the Wi-Fi signal's right on your skin. I don't think I want that, you know?
No. And plus, I mean, all your blood's circulating through that area.
You don't know what you're doing.
No,
yeah. Are those tanks, are they grounded, you know?
Yeah, they have to be because of the water, and it's highly salt. It's very salty. So
you're actually grounding yourself.
That was the copper wire you were talking about,
copper
right?
wire. Yeah.
So people that don't know about grounding, you mentioned it at the beginning. It's the idea that these negative ions that come up through the earth actually help to balance out your frequency and your vibration of your body so that it's not disorganized from the earth.
Right.
And so walking barefoot is a way to do that. That's really cool. I didn't even know that. So there's an extra benefit right there that people don't even talk about.
Being grounded, yeah. And, I don't wear shoes. Like, most of the time I don't have shoes on in there. I do not like to wear shoes. I always wear thongs now.
Yeah.
Or sandals. I don't wear thongs.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah. But, it's funny. When I read a book on grounding and, I saw, it's interesting how the blood kind of clumps up when you're not grounded, your blood doesn't flow as well, apparently. So the guy in the book said, you put your feet on a wet ground and sit there and you'll feel it. And I swear I do now. As soon as I read that, I put my feet down and from my mid calf down, I can feel a slight tingling whenever I take off my shoes for a while.
Really?
Yeah. Just sit there and you'll feel it. I'm telling you, if you're on the right surface, some wet grass, anything like that, you can feel a slight tingling, especially if you've been wearing shoes. And I feel that all the time now. I'm like, wow. It only starts at my mid calf, so I'm not making it up. Like, I could tell where it starts on my legs, on both legs. So I know it's doing something. He's got something there because we're supposed to be barefoot, right? Why are we wearing rubber shoes?
We weren't born with shoes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about the Earth gets struck. What is it, like 1,700 times a day or per hour? Some crazy thing with lightning. And,
does it really?
And so this electrical energy is really important. So that's really cool. I didn't even know that the tanks are actually grounded themselves.
Yeah.
So even if you had no magnesium, that may be the first time that week that person gets grounded.
Well, they're in bed all day, right? And then they put their slippers on, and then, you know what I mean? Like, they're never, and then they walk on a bath mat, and then they put their slippers on, and they put their shoes on. It's like you're building up charges all the time,
Yeah.
I was grounding at night, but I started to get headaches, and I realized it's because I've got a bunch of these dumb metal I still got metal in my mouth.
Oh, okay.
But I don't have the money to take them out right now. I mean, it's a bit of a, but I want to get rid of these things. See?
Oh, yeah. The fillings.
But you will soon.
Yeah. So it's bad. I look at these. I'm going, okay. I'm just every time you take a little warm coffee, there's a little what is it?
Bleaching.
Mercury going down. Yeah, the mercury's just going in that belly. Oh,
yeah. Well, which is cool. You were talking earlier about the far infrared sauna that you use. So that's going to help that.
Sure.
That thing is, my wife and I do that every time I'm home early. We do that thing, and I can only last about 25 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I get too hot, and my heart starts racing because it's just you're sweating. And man, I feel so good after that thing. That
such a release,
and and it doesn't. It's cheap, and it doesn't cost much. After a while, your wife and you sweat so many times, it might get smelly. After a while, you put it outside, you air it out. But I'll just go, I'll buy one. I'll buy another one in maybe 6 months. I mean, they're great, and it just heats you up. So it feels so good. I love that thing. And I do have a rebounder too. I love that thing.
Oh yeah. There's I just think these types of things are essential. I think that, I wonder if there's ever going to be a time do you think there's ever going to be a time where people can get home, float tanks where the cost would come down?
Well, they do, they have them now, but, like they had one on, one of those financing websites, where people, crowdfunding thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the Zen or something, but, the water is the thing in there. It's like if you have one at home and you don't have the way to clean it, it's like, how are you going to ever really clean that water? You might filter it, but you're not disinfecting. So, what if bugs start getting in there and I don't know how you disinfect the water at home.
But if you're the only one, I guess you would have other people using it too, like if your family used it. But if you were the only one using it.
Well, even that stuff can get gross anyway.
If you're a little dirtier one day.
Yeah, and you have just got a massage and you're laying with all these oils. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Your skin's flaking off in there.
Right.
That's
so it will, and I guess what you could do is use it yourself for a month or two and then just change all the water out. But that's not cheap. The magnesium salts, it could be 80 cents a pound or whatever. So
$800.
Yeah, it could be $600 or $800. So you've got a big, so you either disinfect it or you change the water.
So do you put so that $800 worth of salt, assuming that someone doesn't pee in it or do something weird, Do you ever have to buy new salt?
Yeah. You lose about I'm losing about an inch of water like a month, I think, because people get in and out, right? So they keep dragging you.
Oh, right, you're dripping water.
So they drip water and you clean it up and you got salt everywhere. You keep wiping it up. And so about every month I have to put an inch more of water and about another 50-pound bag of salt.
Okay. So you do lose a little bit, but but it's not like obviously it doesn't happen often where you have to replace 800 pounds of. No,
unless like you had a leak and you needed to fix a leak in the tank, then you'd have to drain it.
Wow. Yeah. With these big tanks, for me there was no claustrophobia. The fact that I could open the tank with my own hand and no one had access to the other side of the tank. I was in the room.
Yeah.
I know that was a big issue for me when I first was looking into it.
Mm-hmm.
The claustrophobia thing sort of just goes away as soon as you get into.
There's no lock on the
Well, and you can if you can reach your hands way above your head, you can reach 8 feet into the air. It's just like it's sitting in a room. Yeah. It's just dark. If you're afraid of the dark, then you're afraid of the dark. You can't do anything there.
But I think flotation is going to be. I think it's going to keep growing. I think that more and more people start learning about it. That's the challenge. Is just
educating
people and talking about the benefits, because I think there's going to be more of a need for this type of thing.
Yeah. It's from what I understand, and this is when I know I talked about the magnesium. If you ever have those muscle twitches, you ever get in the eye when it's bouncing? That from what I understand is a magnesium deficiency.
Or a spasm muscle too.
For sure. Yeah. Anything bouncing around your muscle, it doesn't have the magnesium. So
irregular heartbeat maybe too.
Yeah, for sure. When your heart bounces around, I mean that's what I started having too. I started having like those palpitations. I was like all day long. I was magnesium. Like pop, and that was before I got into the magnesium. But they say it's good for stress, insomnia, depression, like PTSD, the soldiers, all this stuff. So
I've heard people using it for PTSD. Exactly. Really effectively.
Yeah, for sure for them because they're stressed out all the time. They've got cortisol coursing through, so.
And I wonder if a soldier coming back from war were to get in one of these things, is it sort of like, have you ever had anyone do that?
No, I'm sure I've had a few ex-soldiers in there, but it's funny. You reach out and a lot of people, you just don't hear back. Like I toss them in for free. I don't care if they've got PTSD. I don't care. I'll, put them in there. And if they like it and if they're struggling, I'm not going to charge them for that. You know what I mean? So, I'll put that out there. If you've got any PTSD issues, just call me up, and.
Yeah, I can see a lot of applications for people with PTSD, people with muscle issues, or sports people, people that maybe if you want to take it a little further and you wanted to do some psychiatric work, if you're trying to if you have psychological issues, this would be a type of thing where you could go into the tank and sort of come to grips with these sides of you that you are so have issues with, or you're fighting with other people and you have this internal struggle. It seems like, if I had to go see a psychologist or psychiatrist, I would do this a couple times a week first for a couple months.
Well, this is just to try. This is calming, where it's the exact opposite of the stress. So why not try it?
Yeah. Or if anything, it could be an adjunct to things. Yeah. Or even if I had any kind of chronic disease, I would look to this as something that would heal a cancer or something like that.
No, but aid in your process.
I'd be doing it all the time. Yeah. I'd be doing it all the time.
Since so much is emotionally rooted anyway.
But. Yeah. Amazing. Well, thanks for, I'm so glad you found us, and I'm so glad you offered for us to come in and try it out.
Oh, you mean found your place down here? Or
no, found us online.
Yeah.
In the first place.
Well, yeah, you guys are way up there, man. I look on health podcasts, you're up there. So hopefully cool. You keep growing. That's it's a great show. I mean, I've heard so many good people on this show.
Thanks.
There's about probably 5 or 6 of them I listen to, and this is the top one.
Wow.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you. And I think you mentioned something about if we wanted to refer people to your website. Can you explain a little bit about that?
For Orange County.
Yeah, for Orange County.
Yeah, you mean for you if you want to put in a code or something?
Yeah.
Like that? Yeah. If you want to type in extreme we'll take an extra, $10 off it. So,
okay, awesome.
Says we're discounting now, but I'll take an extra 10 off it just because we need more people to experience it. So put in Extreme. I'll put that code in, and you can call me or do it online or call me. Okay. We're on Facebook, Newport Float Therapy. You can, that's a good one because we got a lot of pictures on there. The website's more for just booking.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's awesome. So you take pictures every so often of this thing's going on and
yeah, it's hard to get pictures of the chambers. That's the hardest thing. It's like people stand in front of them, but like you open them, it's so dark in there. It's hard.
What are you gonna take a picture
like a cave.
of?
Yeah, I struggle with that every day. I'm like, how do I?
You got to put those things in the water that light
I got to
it
get
up.
lights in there or something. My kids have these little donuts in the bathtub that light up, so I got to throw a few of those in there.
Yeah, like little tea candles that float or something. That. That would be cool. Yeah. Wow. Well, I highly recommend, if you're not in the Orange County area, even if you're anywhere in the country or the world, I would highly recommend, what should people look up if they want to find
isolation tanks, isolation chambers, flotation tanks, flotation chambers usually. And there's one, flotation locations. That's a good one. Flotationlocations.com they put me on there right away, which is great. Some of the other ones, they wanted me to they wouldn't even put me on the site until I put a link on my website and stuff, but flotation locations is great.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Some people call it sensory deprivation tanks.
Sensory deprivation too, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So just put that in, maybe your zip code or something.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks, Ron.
It's been a great time.
Yeah,
Thanks,
this is
great coming in.
Awesome.
Fun to have you.
All right, we just walked Ron out, and we're doing a little pre or post podcast wrap up here.
We like to wrap.
We like to wrap.
Up.
What not much rappers?
No, definitely not that.
Not the rapping family.
Not that kind. I can gift wrap pretty good though.
Gift wrap. But
I have to say that was a pleasure to have him in here.
Yeah, wasn't that fun?
He's a great guy.
Yeah, really, really cool.
Makes me want to go jump in a float tank now.
Yeah.
Darn.
Yeah. Like I said on the show, I think this stuff is going to really overtake. I think it's going to catch on like wildfire. I really do.
I do too.
I think it's just.
I think the need for it is going to become so much more apparent to people in our. The more plugged in we get with technology, the more you're going to have to fight to plug out.
Yeah. Yeah. The more. Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's more of like a backlash. People are going to need to really detach and unplug from all that stress and stuff like that. And I think that too, as more and more people start realizing how stressful it is to be in an office environment too and work under corporate stress, they're going to start. People like that, I think, are really going to start jumping on board with this thing.
Yeah. Imagine if you had a work break, like you could take a break and you're somewhat flexible with your hours and you could go for an hour at lunch and just sit in one of those, shower off and go back to work. Your boss would think you're just a whole different person.
Oh my God.
You can't not be changed by it,
Yeah.
There's something about it that is, I think you had a little bit of a crazier experience than I did, but I'm totally game to keep going and trying it. And I felt really mellow,
Yeah, it's cool too. And as you do it more often, the more, you get better at it. You get better at letting go. And that's part of the whole process too, is letting go, being able to let go and detach and not have any attachments to your thoughts and to your to-do list and to the stress, all that stuff. And the better you become at detaching from that, the more enjoyable the experience is. And I think that's when you start letting in visions and all that kind of traveling to the center of the universe kind of stuff.
I want to travel to the center of the universe.
I know, don't you?
I really want that. I want that experience. I was hoping that I would have had a little bit more of I tried to go in with a low expectation because I'd heard Joe Rogan and other people talk about how this insane experience they had. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that was their first experience, so I had to tell myself, go in with low. And, it was what I thought it was going to be. But I was hoping that I would have a little bit more of an intense,
kind of like a...
go deal with my issues in there kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I know that's coming, and I really... I
think if you do it more often.
I think the more you do it, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I think you can get some real clarity in there. It would be it's the best meditation you could ever do.
Oh my gosh, right?
I mean, because like I said during the show, that even during a time of meditation, you're still feeling things, smelling things, sensing things. And because you don't have the magnesium soaking into all the pores of your body during meditation, you have this constant fight with your ego to not give in to the sense that you want to get up and write something down. But when you're in the isolation tank, you have those thoughts, but then they quickly go away because you're so darn relaxed. And there's no up, there's no down, there's nothing touching your skin.
Yeah,
you
nothing's competing for any of your time or your energy. It's weird.
Yeah, and it's like your brain and your nervous system can finally start healing and start working correctly. Because if you think about it, our brains are unable to. That's probably why one of the reasons why we can't, or we only use 10% of our brain, is because we're constantly being bombarded with sight, with smell.
I use 100% personally.
Oh, you do? Nice.
You may use 10%.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. No,
I
you're
use
right.
5%.
Though. Yeah.
You know, I check on these things. I measure it every day. No, but I think that part of that reason is probably because we're so kind of I don't know what's the right word for that. Like we're so completely engaged in everything we're doing.
It's almost like we're inundated, and that causes us to be fully engaged. Like, it's true.
I mean, right now I feel like these headsets we have on, you know, I feel the pressure from them. I feel a little bit hot because it's summertime here. You know, I feel all these different things. I'm seeing you. But when you're in that tank, it's just mind. All you are is mind.
Yeah, that is a weird thought. I didn't quite get into my just being a mind when I was in there. I felt like I let go 90%, but I was still holding on that 10, and I think it kept me from experiencing. I want to feel like I'm just my mind. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I think the next time I know now what to expect, I'll be a lot more open to that, and therefore that will find me.
Yeah, it's constantly just letting go, going deeper, letting go a little bit more, letting go and forgetting about who you are, and just allowing the process to take you where it needs to go. And I suspect, I mean, you could go on some real trips if you
I'm sure.
Get good at it.
Hey, yeah, I'm sure.
You know?
We didn't ask him, have you ever heard of pregnant women floating?
Ooh, do you think they'd stay upright?
I think
they'd topple over to the side?
That'd be bad news. Well, I'm sure it would be a little sketchy getting in. You don't want to fall, but I wonder if it would be good for you to take off all that pressure that your body takes when you're pregnant, with all the everything, gravity just pulling you down. You feel so weightless.
I was going to say, what about giving birth? But then, could you imagine the filtration process?
Oh gosh! Whoa, yeah.
But yeah, you're right. If a pregnant woman were in there, I think that would be, gosh, I bet you that would be the most incredible thing.
It seems like magnesium and stuff would be good, but I don't know. Like if you have a fetus growing in your body?
I mean, if I were pregnant, I'd look into it. But if I were pregnant, and I just think that would be the most incredible thing. I think you could use that tank for so many different things. You know, like I said, you know, maybe you might not even need a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a therapist. You get in there and you deal with it like you're just stuck with you. It's all just you. You
know what it is? It's the closest thing, I think, this side of heaven to being in the womb experience.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, that's exactly what a baby's doing. It's floating around in body temperature water and hearing its own heartbeat and the heartbeat of its mother. Like, all you're hearing is your heartbeat, and you're in this fluid, and you're not aware. It's like you said, you felt it a little bit more than I did, but just being a mind, it's like you aren't even really aware of your body. It's probably what it's like for a baby. It's almost like going back to that fetal place and really, like you said, almost like being able to let go of stuff. And
yeah, it's all about letting go.
Kind of regress almost in a way to when things were simple and you didn't have to worry about being taken care of. You were just being taken care of. And you could just float around and not have to worry and just like be.
Yeah, isn't that an interesting
So maybe
analogy?
you wouldn't need a psychologist. I mean, maybe you could work out a lot of your stuff in there by just being, you know?
Maybe that's why a water birth makes so much sense. You're not, you know, when a mother gives birth, it's so traumatic, you know, like imagine how dark it is in the womb, and then you get pulled out and there's all these lights in the hospital.
Cold air hits you.
Cold air and all that.
That's got to be weird.
Yeah, I think for me, when I was at the end, like I said, I didn't really catch my groove. I never really caught my groove completely, which is why I want to keep doing it. But I did catch my groove during that session around probably 3/4 of the way through. So probably around, 50 minutes or so. And I started seeing these weird, didn't I tell you on the way home, like I saw these kind of clown-like figigures.
Yeah, like a Joker head or
like
face.
A Joker.
What do you call that? A court jester?
Yeah, it was weird. And
that's weird.
I forgot the messages they told me. It was like they said something, they would fade into my reality, and then they would leave.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot what they said to me.
I didn't know they ever said anything to you.
Yeah, I should have written it down. But, I mean, I can imagine that you could, people that do, I don't know about astral travel, people that do that kind of stuff, or lucid dreaming, if you fell asleep, you could do some crazy things in there.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that would just be incredible.
I want to work on those things anyway. I think it'd be such an interesting thing to be able to do that regular life, and then if you add that on, the experience would just get boosted through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I would highly recommend this.
Checking him out.
If you're a stressed person and you are under the gun, have a lot to do, a lot of pressure on you, a lot of obligations, commitments that you have to uphold and keep tabs on, I would highly recommend doing something like this. Try it out. Try it out once or twice and see if you like it. I think you'll just be in heaven.
I think so too. And anybody in the LA Orange County area,
oh yeah,
or even San Diego, I mean, if you're willing to drive, it's a great place. His place is so, I love the actual location. I love the inside. I think it's really welcoming.
Yeah, it's super cool. And he's giving a discount too, right?
Yeah, I would highly recommend calling him or getting online and making an appointment. And he's giving $10 off of the current promotion even. So.
Is that the coupon code?
Mm-hmm. Extreme. You type that in, or call up and tell him.
NewportFloat.com.
NewportFloat.com.
And then his Facebook account is on there. If you're in the Orange County area,
find that on Facebook. It's Newport Float Therapy.
Okay, Newport Float Therapy. Yeah, awesome stuff. We'll have links to that too on this show page, which is extremehealthradio.com/301. And I just want to thank all you guys for being on the show and listening. We really appreciate it. We do broadcast live Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific. If you guys want to join the live show page and the chat room, and you can get your questions answered. And please don't forget to visit our sponsors too for this episode, which were the Carnivora and the BioAge. Both incredible products. And also don't forget to check out our store where you can check out the Vitamix and the Qigong products. Really amazing stuff. We only promote products that we truly believe in, that we use, that we think that you guys are going to just love and your bodies will love too. So that's why we work with these particular sponsors. That's why we promote the Vitamix, stuff like that. So make sure to do that. That helps to keep the show free. So if you guys can support us by going to our store and then to our sponsors page, that helps us to be able to continue to do shows like this, all free for you guys.
And we gladly accept donations. We love when you guys are able to donate. It really helps keep the rising costs over here.
Yep.
I can't say enough how much it helps. So we're thankful for everybody that has donated or able to donate. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And
so appreciate
you can't donate. If you could go to iTunes, please, and write us a review. You don't have to love us, but if you did, that always helps.
Yeah,
but
that always
you
helps.
can be honest and write a review, and we're just so grateful. That would really help if you guys, can't support us in any other way financially. Just be great of you to take 5 seconds and write a line or two.
Yeah, we do that on iTunes and Stitcher, and then also another free way to support us too is by sending the links. If you like this show, just share it with your Facebook friends. That really does help a lot. And then we also have our Amazon link on top of our website too, if you guys would like to.
And who doesn't love Amazon?
I know, right?
Amazon's trouble. If Amazon had a warehouse where you could go shop like Costco or IKEA, holy moly, we'd be in trouble.
I wonder if they're ever going to do that. Do you think like an outlet mall kind of thing?
I wonder. They'd be smart. Can you imagine trying to find something in there though? It's like you have pantyhose and then you have
oh my gosh,
eggs.
I know, they have everything. It's insane.
Books and bonsai trees.
Bonsai trees. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Anyway, maybe they have float tanks, but you don't want to buy one off there. I don't think.
I wouldn't recommend a float tank from.
At least it wouldn't be the right filtration system going.
No, it wouldn't. Wow, what a fun show, Ron
so
Becker.
Fun.
Yeah, so you guys go out and float and let me know how it makes you feel.
Just go out and float.
Yeah.
No, truly, please start a conversation in the forum.
It's an experience and an environment unlike anything you can ever get on Earth. Because even if you go to the Dead Sea, you're still not getting sensory deprivation. You're floating.
No.
You're not
probably
getting,
in the daylight, hearing sounds.
Yeah, hearing sounds, smelling things, looking at things. I mean,
right.
It's just not the same.
Right.
These things are just, I can't recommend them enough. Go out and find a place.
Let's go this weekend.
Yeah, we should.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I love it. All right, everybody, and thank you so much for listening.
Go get your float on, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Hey, everybody, this is Josie, Justin's mum. Don't tell him, but I know he would absolutely be really happy if you would sign up to his free weekly newsletter. And don't forget to share this with all your friends. This is the buzzing bumblebee signing off.
That's so good.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for listening to this episode.
It's time to go for now, but our mission does not end with this show.
Justin and Kate will be back with another interview packed full of ideas, discoveries, and unique ways to regain your health.
Head on over to extremehealthradio.com/subscribe and instantly download our free gift too that contains cutting-edge strategies to start making healthy lifestyle changes today.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered here should be interpreted